Thank you very much, Mr. Angel. Members of council, just a few minutes before 7, I wonder if we would consider deferring discussion on this until the end of the agenda. All right, we'll do that. We'll circle back to this after we finish the regular agenda. And Director Lowe was due to do the June 2023 financial overview for that in our next meeting. Is that okay? You guys from staff or council? All right, we'll do that. Thank you. Anything else? Thank you very much for the presentation. We have about.
Should I stay?
No, I think we're good. We're good.
Okay.
We have about
Thank you. That's good.
3 minutes till the regular meeting, so we'll take a very brief standing break in this room, and then we'll begin the regular agenda at 7 p.m.
Hey, everybody. Tyrant O'Neill won't be here unless he's in plain clothes. Hi, Mike. I'm Regan. Nice to meet you.
I know of you. We've
Yeah.
never met in person.
Well, yeah, we emailed back and
Yeah, yeah,
forth
yeah.
about a pretty serious situation.
She had given you the contact information for Shelley, or the person she had worked with. Were you able to get in touch with her?
The last I heard was that you had lost contact. Is
Well,
that
yeah.
correct?
In that email, though, I explained to you that we'd lost contact, but since you have a fully formed outreach team, I gave you Shelley's number. And I just learned tonight through this presentation that All Health is your fully formed outreach team. So they had all her information as well. And so nobody's done anything.
She hasn't been able to access services.
You mean no
Right.
one's connected with her to be able to access services? That's correct. However, we had her here in the library to connect with your program, and no connection was made. So what's going on?
Well, if I'm happy to pass along her name once again to the outreach team and see
This was
if we
the
can
All
make a
Health
connection.
at police?
Yeah, that it started with All Health. I had asked All Health to do that because I thought, and I think my information was correct, I went to the right source to start case management. This was a very vulnerable situation. It needed immediate addressing. The police are telling them they don't have a right to survive. And yes, I am recording because I record all of my interactions. We're at a public meeting, just so you know.
When did she come to the library to get
I don't remember the date, but we also have that
we
all
talked.
documented. It was in this process.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was in this
Did
process.
you all make plans to connect, or she was just downstairs when some of the staff was downstairs?
When your Tri-City Homelessness staff was here for housing, to connect with
are you
housing.
referring to the county navigators?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And they didn't get connected with them?
No. No, they just gave her some flyers off the wall and said there wasn't much I could do for you. I don't have any emergency shelter for you. And that was pretty much it. One of my volunteers had brought Shelley here to the library to access that service. And so yes, we did lose contact with her because the police have been harassing them because they're in Englewood in a camper with no safe parking. We call individuals like Shelley, and it's not to give them a tagline, but these are the $1 million homeless folks because we can't get them housed. Shelley has severe health issues, and she's in and out of the hospital constantly. So, yeah, I don't know if they're in Englewood or not right now. Since All Health didn't stay connected with them, I couldn't stay connected with them because I'm a small nonprofit, right? So I don't have $1.3 million is really the bottom line.
Do you know if she took the VI SPAT when she was with the
No,
navigators?
nobody's done the VIASPAT app. We're at ground zero.
Yeah, because I remember I had reached out to a couple partners on another thread with you, right? That,
Yeah, and I did
where-
tell
and
you.
we
Yeah.
weren't able to, we had lost contact.
But just because I've lost contact with them doesn't mean that your folks, So we've got an unresolved issue. So I think that's why Sean made the introduction. So it was nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
We'll be in touch. Yeah, so we've got some issues. Oh, they just did it to the flag of the United States of America. To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, justice for all.
Thank you. Hold on.
Member Anderson. Present. Member Anningham. Present. Member Russell. Present. Member Woodward.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Ward.
Present. All right, our first agenda item is the consideration of the minutes for the July 17th, 2023 meeting. I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Thank you. Will the clerk please take a vote?
Member Anderson.
Aye.
Member Anningham. Member Russell. Mayor Pro Tem Ward.
Aye.
Member Woodward.
Aye.
The record show 5-0.
We have two recognitions this evening. The first is our board and commission member appointment recognition. In the mayor's absence, I thought I might switch things up a little bit. So what we'll do is I'll stand at the front and I'll call the names, or the clerk will call the names of the board and commission members who have been appointed. If you're present tonight, please come forward. I'll give you your certificate and
Come get your
stand
award.
somewhere along here. And then at the very end, after everyone
So I can't come to these meetings. They make me want to puke. They make me sick.
Follow that procedure? All right.
Yes, I am going to speak, Irish Rover. I think I'm like,
Board of Adjustment and Appeals, C.N. Dickerson.
I might be fourth on the list.
Budget Advisory Committee, James Horan.
I'm not that far down.
Peter Eckel.
But I don't know how many people are signed up for the 5-minute public comment.
Knight as an alternate. Code Enforcement Advisory Committee, Carson Green, Robert Watson, and Sonia Strong. Cultural Arts Commission, Shane Smith, Teresa Adams, Leah Moran, Erica Crizzle. The Inglewood Downtown Development Authority is Diane Reinhardt, Brad Nixon. Inglewood Housing Authority, Mary Mills Lambert, Madison Andrews, Sherry Stinson as an alternate. The Valley Center Trust Fund Board, Mitchell Waldman. Parks and Recreation Commission, Emma Wood, Jenna Biondo.
I don't think these people are looking all that excited about their
Planning and
awards.
Zoning Commission, Camille Kay.
Zoning.
As an alternate. Public Library Board, Chris Ray. Sustainability Committee is Shelley Oren, Patrick Fitzgerald, and Tracy Savina as an alternate.
You want to see how
Urban
mismatched dressed I am
Shane
right now?
Smith.
It's been a hell of a day. Check out this outfit I'm wearing. What do you think of my outfit? Pictures. It's time for pictures. Regan's not dressed for pictures.
Next
Well,
up, we
thanks,
have
Clinton.
a recognition for the
Hey, ANCAP, how's it
public
going?
library. Public library
More
received the
awards.
2022 England Chamber of Commerce Award for Innovation and Sustainability.
For sustainability.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
We have the following staff members in attendance tonight: Beth Lafferty, the Library and Cultural Arts Manager; Celine Gardner, Technical Services Librarian; and Kimberly Powers, the Children's Services Librarian. We do have a plaque I'll bring forward. let's see here. They gave me some talking points. I just haven't had a chance to
Fries with
review
that
them,
shake.
but-
Oh, I got some fries, all right.
Earlier this year, the Englewood Public Library received the 2022 Englewood Chamber of Commerce Award for Innovation and Sustainability. It's an award given to an organization in Englewood that thinks outside the box to solve problems in innovative ways and
Yeah,
explore
I don't give a fuck.
new ideas
Let's go
that
out here for a
positively
little bit.
contribute to the city. Celebrating its 123rd anniversary this year, the library continues its tradition of service to the
Oh.
community by offering
Oh,
community
there's
access
Sam
to a
Watson
large collection
in the flesh,
physical
the chief of
and digital
police.
library
He really
materials,
exists.
as well as many
Wow.
different programs and services. During the
Why are you
COVID-19
looking me up and down like
pandemic,
that?
The Englewood Public Library, like libraries around the world, adapted to changing circumstances with a variety of
Huh.
community-
Interesting. Did you see that? That's the chief of police who never shows his face when I go over to the police department. I didn't know the guy even existed. Was he sitting in the back, taking notes on how he's going to shut down any initiatives that would involve doing something right for the homeless? Because I'm going to suggest that that lot right across the street from the Englewood Police Department be designated for safe outdoor parking that's never used. And there be no barriers, none. So the reason I'm here is because I was watching their study session, and I look like shit because I'm still dealing with a bunch of stuff that I'm really not talking about right now, including helping people that are losing their housing right now because of the rapid rehousing program. If anybody wants to know what rapid rehousing is, that's when Denver stuffs them in motels, and then service providers scramble to find them some essentially temporary housing. So remember, we stuffed a bunch of people in motels. We found some housing for them, and that year is coming up. So that typically expires in a rapid rehousing program. They get rent assistance for about a year or however long that funding is designated, and then boop, they're back out on the street. And one of those people is Jerry Lewis. So we've got some serious issues, but in the meantime, we're still watching what's going on here in Englewood because there's just some things over here that are quite questionable still. The fact that the last time I was in the police department, you know, I did that records request, and they ignored that. What happened with that? I wanted to know what happened with that camper. And there's Mr. Facilities guy over there entertaining everyone else when he told me he was going to get a seat for us out here, and he never did.
Everything should be running out. I actually had to walk me through the process in case like they weren't around, so I have to go over it. So
Notice there's just nowhere to sit out there unless you work for Allied Security, which, by the way, none of those punks are here anymore. And Dwight is here and greeted me very professionally.
they just to actually revise this meeting, but that's the first point. So that the point
Can anybody, I need to see the agenda. I want to see how many people are signed up on the 5-minute.
it threw a code. We had 3 units go down, so we had a power cycle, and they came back online. We shot them up, boot up, and heard them all crank and get going. So we'll continue to monitor.
There's 2. So there's 2 5-minute speakers, and I think I was like number 4 under the 3-minute speakers. I see you never got me anywhere to sit out there.
Do what?
You never got me anywhere to sit out there.
They're still looking at it.
Still working at it. Takes quite a while to get a couple chairs out there.
Could be. It depends on the need. We want to make it appropriate and match and fit the area. We don't want to just put fold out chairs. So
Only government could take something so easy and turn it into something so
we have
complicated.
a lot of seats.
You have furniture all over this building. Jesus, whatever. Fucking stupid. Put this bench out there. Put a fucking bench out there, just like this. there's one. There's one nobody used. There's a fucking bench. 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 Holy fuck.
That's right, go ahead with your name, crossings, or contribution.
Yep.
My name's Kevin Wright. I'm on the corner of Julian and Tubbs. I guess I'm here to succeed at work. Okay, what am I doing here? I'm sorry. If you look at the screen at this list of ARPA funds the city received from the federal government, basically I call it free money, you will notice that not one dime was allocated towards the South Central storm system, where we continue to experience flooding and sinkholes. And a young woman named Rochelle Marie Huber tragically lost her life at the age of 32 years old, 5 years ago today. As you look at the money spent, you will clearly see that $1,233,333 was given to the Old Hampton Utility Improvement Funds. We are currently building high-rise apartments, new duplexes, and redeveloping the neighborhood. Yet the only funds appropriate to the most dangerous storm drain possibly in the state of Colorado received nothing. Zero. Zilch. We were notified today that the sinkhole that developed has been misdiagnosed and the cost to make repairs has grown. The Oxford apartments could be endangered. The retaining wall could fall, and by the looks of the job site, it is totally unsafe. I fear for the employees on the job and the heavy equipment rolling on the surface. This map here shows the South Central storm system, which would be identified as S2, SC1, and S1 on the map. This is where we're having problems. As you can see, S2 begins at Rotolo Park and heads all the way down to S1 to the Platte River, a long distance to travel. As I stated, 5 years ago today, Rochelle Marie Huber drowned in an apartment. How did SC1, South Central Englewood, get put on hold and put on the back burner? Why were no funds allocated to this project as an emergency? An emergency. These are your citizens in the city of Lakewood, or Englewood, I'm sorry, the city of Englewood. Let me turn the volume up so everyone in this room can hear it. I'm having a problem with that. Turn the volume up. job.
Because it's just terrible, it's so sad. 32-year-old Rachel Haber was trapped
32 years old.
in water. City
She's
Clerk
37 this year. God, she lived.
And they never sent it again. Even after the police
Oh,
officers.
so-
Police officers made it partially inside the basement and pulled Haber out, but it was too late. She died at the hospital. The fact that happened in 20 minutes and she couldn't get out, that's scary. That's not okay. Don often lives next door. He got out just in time.
It was 8.5 feet at 1.8, the whole basement.
God.
Was flooded.
Many don't have flood insurance on this street, and as they realize the hardship ahead of them, a quick glance to the home that.
Why were they not made a priority? Why were no ARPA funds dedicated to this problem?
I think I'm still in the shower. So it's been hard to deal with the last, I guess, that's been 24 hours, but it's gonna be a long time getting things back together for sure. And several of the hardest hit homes tonight are without power. They'll remain that way until inspectors come by and deem it safe to turn that power back on. We've also been hearing from residents here, neighbors, who say there's issues with drainage. We've reached out to the city to try and get some answers. The feeling here is that this tragedy could have been prevented. As soon as we hear from the
Thank
city.
you, Mr. Wright, that is your time.
I know that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Next up is Ken Wright.
Kim Wright, District 4. I was gonna talk about ERs, because all my questions and requests have not been answered. After speaking with this. I was gonna speak about ERs, because all my questions and requests have not been answered. After speaking with the city manager last week, I was assured this item was going to be tabled this evening. All my questions will be answered. I thank you, city manager Lewis. I want to give big kudos to co-enforcement chairperson Carson Green. The chairman controlled the co-enforcement meeting as he should have. I encourage all chairs to watch the last 3 meetings. It shows how the city should not run boards and commissions. City employees and council members are liaisons. I believe there are only a couple employees that are voting members on boards and commissions. And he's a great example on how boards and commissions should be run. I would like to know the reason behind publishing the addresses of those that testified in PNC the last meeting. We look at a lot of documents that the city of Englewood, on the website, and I find it odd how some people's information is blacked out while others' information is published. Why is this? Who decides to publish one person's information and black out another? I believe this is a safety concern for all whose information has been published. Joe Jefferson once sat on the dais as a council member before becoming one of the best and most admired judges Englewood has in Englewood's history. His position at the dais sat empty from January until his replacement was elected in June. With the departure of Cheryl Wink, I see no need to replace her until the November election. That's only 3 months away. With Ms. Wing's attendance record, the council or the people, are we really missing anything with that seat currently empty? I believe we need to wait for the people to fill that seat. The group of people that are sitting at the dais currently are either in a recall or up for election, except the mayor pro tem. So I think we need to, let that seat remain empty until the November election, a little more than 3 months away. Actually, I only have 5 minutes. I
that moves us to unscheduled public comment, where the same rules apply, except you get 3 minutes for unscheduled public comment. First on the agenda is Mary, I assume that's you, Mary Gillespie. Just make sure you make friends with that microphone.
Okay.
I can, if you would please begin by stating your name, address, and press release for council.
My name is Maria Gillespie. I live at Cross Streets of Englewood Parkway in Nina. Good evening, members of the city council. I much appreciate your time. Would like to say that I come with a concern spacing me in my building. I have to go around my building sometimes because there's a homeless person outside the liquor store. You know, that's not something that the city can, they just move along and stuff. But I really appreciate the city or the cops helping me out. I have tried in my building to call security and they don't even move along. And I know that's something that I take out of the city, but I do appreciate that every time I call the ENGLEWOOD city cops, they help move them along. So when my aides come in at 4 o'clock, I worry about them. I should never have to worry about my aides when I'm at risk as it is. This whole talk of homelessness, we have got to change things. And not just spend money on trying to like put money into different things, and this is just ridiculous. This is not legal what I moved into. I do appreciate the cops coming and moving along. They aren't there when I call them and when I go check. And I don't know how long it takes them, but it's just ridiculous that I have a secure building and homeless people are sleeping in there. I have had a homeless person that always walks towards me, so I go around my building to the back. That is not something I should have to do. This needs to be addressed. We need to quit pouring money in that situation. I would like to know how much the other cities are putting in this. I don't know if that was done on purpose, but I think it was spending that much money. I want to be sure all the other cities are putting this as much in. So thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate the cops, and they've always been wonderful when I've been here, so it's a true privilege. And I got to see that free concert. I got to see officer diffuse the situation. It was great to see. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Gillespie. Any questions? Thank you very much. Next up, C. Ann Dickerson. Go ahead, Ms. Dickerson.
Sam Nickerson, District 1. With all due respect to your policy, I have no respect for it. To start, I am more than okay with the Historic Society to have space in the Civic Center and hold events in furtherance of Englewood's history without charge. I am not okay with Englewood Arts getting to rent any part of the second floor to third parties and keep the money, nor with taxpayer funds used for improvements for Englewood Arts use and the maintenance thereof. One more agenda item leading to the bulk of my address. Do not approve a third party to run the recall election. It should not cost almost 10 times what a single recall election costs, even with inflation. Regarding to the recall, you don't really care what we, especially I, have to say. But it should give you pause that despite your use of taxpayer funds to spread untruths about accomplishments and campaigning against being recalled, we still managed to get enough signatures to hold an election to recall you. You overstepped when you rushed to put multiplexes on corner lots in R1, then abandoned it. A lot of people woke up and saw what you were doing. voting to abandon it was just a distraction in disguise that you'd already done it with ADUs, and removing parking requirements, and reducing minimum lot sizes, and reducing lot coverage percentages. Along with the practical voiding of our home rule charter by placing amendments on the ballot, you made it harder to employ our rights to direct democracy through recall and referendum. I hope the increasing awareness of the lies and propaganda you've been spreading, starting with the election in 2019, your direct support of upzoning R1, overt hostility to citizens, the never-ending increases of fees from toppling the utility bill, still no progress on infrastructure, specifically to the storm drain system, failure of which is exacerbated by your unwise approvals of high-density, high-rate developments. I hope it's enough to get you recalled and put an end to your attempted destruction of our property rights, waste of taxpayer dollars, and rising crime. We are your boss. Time you behaved like you knew this.
Thank you, Ms. Dickerson. The audience will please refrain from applause. Any questions? Seeing none, next up is Jan Harper.
June Weingart, Federal Bellevue, District 4. So this is a citizen's award to Kevin Wright. Kim Wright, thank you for bringing to the attention of this council and the citizens some very devastating things that are going on. Without you, I don't know that the recall would have been successful. You've spoken up, you've uncovered things, you were talking about infrastructure long before the city figured it out. I think there have been times you talked about it, Kevin. You talked about it and took another huge issue for the city to say, oh, hey, there's something going on here. And if they had listened to you some time ago, they might have not had to backtrack in their fixing. You know, and this is the same thing with the PUD. You were told there were problems and you passed it. 4 of you that are sitting up here tonight voted for it. Do you listen to what we say when we come up here? Or do you just go, oh, this is our thing, we're gonna do it. This is our thing, we're gonna do it. I really question, you know, we come here to talk, and you've got some amazing people out here that are smart and bright. Me, not so much. I speak more from emotion. But we're here to help the city, and you act like we don't. Colleen just talked about election. This election, the recalls, even the November election can probably be done for under, what, $40,000 for the whole thing if you would look at electric and paper ballots. There are ways to do it, and you continue to ignore systems that can be put in place long term. You just ignore it. We don't want it, so we aren't going to pay attention. We aren't going to research it. We aren't going to look at it. We aren't going to have the election commission called to take a look at things. You know? So what stops the decline in Englewood? One is there are also places out there that are stopping developer and investor purchases in counties, states, I don't know if states, but in county cities across our country. I didn't have time to research it, but you can stop it. That's why we have a municipal thing where we aren't under the state. You can stop some of this. That would help prices. It would help people be able to buy. It would help protect renters because they wouldn't be, all the rents would be under these conglomerates that fix their rents. Guys, you gotta start listening to us. Whether you're gonna be here in 3 months or you're gonna be here another 4 years, you gotta start listening to us. You aren't doing it. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. White. Further questions from council? Next up is Regan Benson.
Good evening, council. Thank you for the
pushing the name issue there, I really appreciate that, Mayor Pro Tem. I was compelled to take my personal time tonight, as I've been dealing with homelessness all day, tragedy after tragedy. Did you guys know that people are dying out on the streets? I know. The majority of the population hates homeless people. They're worthless, they're drug addicts. None of them have trauma. They choose to live out on the street with no sanitation, with no running water. All these homeless people screwing life up for everybody else. Isn't it something? Won't it be a grand day when we can all convene here and celebrate the death of every single one of them, or the jailing of every single one of them? It'll be a frickin' fantastic day in America, won't it? The last time I was in Englewood, I was over at the police department at 405 trying to make a records request. I got a phone call from one of my homeless individuals that used to be an Englewood resident that was effectively criminalized out of the city of Englewood thanks to people like Sam Watson, who reminded me tonight when I saw him that I needed to shift gears and not really talk about your study session that compelled me here. What compels me is human life. People are so buried in politics and who's doing what to who, so somebody can have a better enjoyment out of life. While I was in that police department, I got a call from Steve Olson. He goes by Cowboy on the streets. Many of you in Englewood here know him. And if you don't, go to my YouTube channel and watch all the videos about Cowboy. You effectively criminalized him out of the city of Englewood. He died the day after he called me on the phone. I didn't get my records request because it was 4:05. The staff was leaving for the day. It was the big flood. Remember that day? They were busy. I waited to go in there because of the rain so I could take the phone call from Steve. You want to talk about safe parking? It doesn't work. There are barriers. If you're not legal, you can't use safe parking. Go back out on the street and die. Don't discuss it. Just say screw it. Send them all back out there so all these people can converge and tell you how much they're working with homeless and try to understand their situations and what they need. Don't discuss any of that bullshit. Go back to politics. Go back to zoning. Go back to catering to people pissed off because they're building houses that we can't put people in. People are dying out here. And Englewood sucks. $1.3 million and no fucking services.
Next up will be Mr. Kozak.
Thanks for the bench.
A reminder to present your respect in council.
Go fuck up a homeless person's life when you're done here. Good to see you. Thank you for everything, Dwight. You too. All right, well, that wasn't exactly what I set out to do, but I don't care. And if you aren't pissed off, it's about time you should be. One minute. My phone's sitting on the podium. In fact, I know I did. All right, we gotta go back in. Hang tight. So Cowboy was a resident of Englewood, and he had rounds and rounds and rounds with the cops because he had friends and they would come over, and it was the war on. Could I ask a favor of you? I believe I left my other cell phone sitting on the podium when I spoke, and I left it on there. I don't want to go back in there. Would you mind getting it for me?
Case?
It's my whole cell phone.
Okay.
I left it sitting on the podium
In there?
in the council chambers. Thank you so very much. He has been just, he's a neat man, Dwight, with Allied Security. So, over some years of time, Englewood and all their hardcore policies on how to combat, the drugs in Englewood, tried to criminalize Cowboy out of his house. And these are things we've never talked about because they involved family issues and family money. And now that Steve is dead, and I have consent from his daughter to talk about some of these things, they're coming to the surface. So what Englewood did was criminalized him to the point of being able to condemn his house by zoning laws. Not one time did they secure a criminal conviction on him over here in Englewood. Not one time. Except for some bullshit trespassing charges later down the road. Cowboy is probably the single most responsible individual living on the streets that has been horrifically ostracized and criminalized by this city. And I didn't even get to the points of how he died, right? What do they care? I'm not going to go back in there because those cops are going to make an issue out of it. So I'll just wait. I'm just, not that these residents don't have a fight in what they want in their neighborhoods. I get all that. I can respect that. But my God, do people know what's going on out there? Do they really know? They push back on their government for not giving them what they want in their neighborhoods, but they don't push back on them for spending $1.3 million on absolutely nothing. That is it. Dwight, thank you.
No, they were talking, so I had to wait.
Yeah, I figured as much. That's why I wanted you to do it. So it didn't appear as though I was disrupting the meeting, right?
I get it.
I
get
thank you very much.
it. I'm glad I could help. Thank you for all you do.
Thanks, Dwight. Isn't he great? So there's rainbows out here. And here's our skies right now. Pretty cool. See those rainbows? There's 3 of them actually. When I said the word fuck, they're not aghast of people dying out on the streets. How dare you say the word fuck in a public meeting? Day I met him earlier. Oh, when was it? When they closed the bathrooms, remember? And hired this allied security staff. I think they've actually scaled down their staff here. And it's just Dwight. And there was another older gentleman with him working. He was very cordial when I came here. I wasn't recording. But they were both great. And right before I pulled up, you should have seen the bolt of lightning, and it was super close, super close. It hasn't rained, but there's 3 rainbows over that way. So I was compelled to get up out of the comfort of my own home, and my husband's not very happy with me. I'm gonna be real honest with you. And come over here and make public comment because I was watching this online. I was watching this study session. And what they were talking about was how Englewood has partnered with Tri-City Homelessness. Englewood has given them $1.3 million. What the fuck are they doing with it? Well, they had a guy here, Mike. You saw him on video. I was recording him. He's here to tell them what they're doing with it. You can say whatever you want. You can literally say it and it just becomes truth. Right? Especially when you're government buddies. This guy said that the point in time survey revealed that there's 442 homeless individuals in Arapahoe County. For those of you that don't know what point in time is, it's one day. It's usually the last couple weeks of January every year. And it's this federal count. It's this requirement to stay partners with HUD to get an accurate count on homelessness. One night. And they explain it as, January's pretty much cold everywhere. So everybody will be in shelters, because we have shelter capacity across this nation for all of our homeless. And good shelters too. I mean, they're freaking fantastic shelters everywhere. Which, by the way, this Sunday, we are doing our regular platform, Lawrence Accountability and I, at 1 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, 3 o'clock Eastern Time. And the topic is going to be on shelter. Yeah. So you won't want to miss that. So please mark your calendar for that. Notifications should go out on that. We're going to have some pretty compelling, we hope, folks talking about what's going on with shelter. And some actual unhoused folks on this panel. So please mark your calendar this coming Sunday. We're shooting for this to be a regular panel every Sunday. We did our first one this past Saturday. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Yeah, it's 2 hours. We're doing 2 hours max, okay? 2 hours is a long time to watch a panel, I get it. But go in and scan through it. There's some great points and highlights, and it's constant conversation. So there's good things to pick up in there. Last week's topic was how to do outreach. So we're starting with some basic things for basic awareness. And I'm doing this with Lawrence Accountability because it's like Colorado and Kansas being the epicenter of the nation. And then eventually we hope to spread more awareness and have some folks from other states that are doing outreach and working with the homeless on a regular basis come join the panel, talk about specific topics and subjects. But we do very much plan to get more of the unhoused community as guests doing that. So that'll be the goal for this Sunday. But back to this issue with Tri-City homelessness, you know, they're going to pull together Englewood, Littleton, and Sheridan. And they're going to have all this collaboration. And they've already pitched in $1.3 million. Englewood. And Mike's pitch tonight was that they have a fully assembled outreach team through All Health Network. I told you I nailed it from the very beginning. When I walked into the Englewood Police Department that day and said, I need a caseworker for Shelley so she can do the Viaspadat. And what was that girl's name? I can't remember. Or our transparency if you're in here. Oh yeah, I'll do this, I'll do that. They did nothing. I kept coming back to Sean Lewis, the city manager. You know, Sean has so many irons in the fire. I guess he can't go out on the street and decipher the anecdotal evidence of what's not happening and what's not working, because he has to rely on his partners in government to tell him the truth. Oh, how's that working out? Well, that's why I was here tonight. Because I was going to dispel the lies. And ask some more questions. And then I got up and walked out of there. And I walked past that chief of police. And he looked me up and down. Like, the fuck you doing here? And something just went boom in my head. And said, oh, this fucker has shown up for the first time like ever that I've seen. I don't know. I mean, I'm not here all that often, but he's never available by email. He's never available at his office. I thought the guy was, you know, probably deceased. People kept telling me, oh yeah, he's real. Never saw him. Remember all the times I've been in Englewood? Well, he was the deputy chief of police for a long time. He's actually the one, for those of you that used to follow Eric Brandt, he's the one that came out and tackled him right here in the Civic Center. Yeah, saving the people. Yeah, Englewood's been sued pretty heavily for stifling speech. So yeah, Sam Watson kind of flipped a switch in my head and said, Regan, even though you weren't prepared to come talk about Cowboy, maybe you should say a few things. And then I thought, okay, I'll do half and half. Right, I can work through this stuff in my mind before I go to the podium. Because I can do some pretty good ad-lib. Well, then this woman in a wheelchair wheels herself up to the podium, and the staff's very nice and accommodating, making sure she has access to the podium, getting the microphone down to her level. I thought that's really nice. It's good to see. That gives me some relief. And then she launches into this homeless problem around and inside her apartment building, because she's already disabled and she's already vulnerable, and there's homeless people everywhere, and we got to do something about this. I mean, stop. You can't just throw the money at this. I mean, really fix this. And I thought, okay, well, maybe she's gonna redirect. Maybe she just, everybody hates the homeless, right? So everybody's first natural compellence is to go disparage the homeless. I've accepted that, and I hate it. I hate that I've accepted that, but I have to get through that, right? So I thought, okay, give her another chance here, Reagan. Maybe you're not hearing things right. Maybe she has compassion for the homeless individuals that are on the sidewalk. They're in front of her building. They're sleeping in her apartment building. And she's called security of her apartment. They're great. And they come move them along. Notice she didn't document anything in her speech about the Englewood City cops bringing outreach teams, did she? Well, gee, woman in a wheelchair, housed, disabled woman in a wheelchair, living comfortably indoors. Wouldn't you want to know if someone that's obviously vulnerable is getting some services, since you yourself get lots of services? No, she didn't. She just kept going on. And my blood pressure was forcing my eyeballs through the sockets. So, you get it, right? You get it. Oh yeah, and insurance too. Yeah, medical care, lots of it. It's accessible. Rides, transportation, I mean, lots of services. Do I begrudge her for that? Absolutely not. Am I disgusted at her lack of situational awareness? Yeah, pretty disgusted with that. You're in a wheelchair and you're vulnerable? You don't think there's other vulnerable people in the world, huh? Gotcha. So yeah, that kind of lit that extra fire under me. And the fact that I didn't hear any of these city council members actually question what those results looked like with the $1.3 million that Englewood's already pitched in to Tri-Cities homeless group. So, that's that. So that was all last minute. Thanks for popping in. Whoever gave those super chats, thank you very much. I want to do a little shift in an ask instead of donations. I really want people to go to that wish list because there's something really cool going on. More people are wanting to do outreach. And this is finally where I need to be because other people are doing it as well. So I can focus on making sure that Jerry doesn't end up back out on the streets in 1 month, okay? So I've got a whole list of tasks, but the one ask that's gonna make things a lot easier is that you donate those items on that wish list. And who has the link? Somebody posted that in here earlier. Bokomo, I think that was you. Can we get that link in here again? And if I forget, mods, somebody send me a text or something and remind me to go put that link pinned in the comment section here. So I'll do that after the stream is over. Thank you, old guy. Appreciate it. Thank you, Aurora. There she has it. Aurora Transparency just posted that link to the wish list. So what those items do is help people make connections. And right now, I have some really good, solid help from my friend Shits and Giggles, who is a man who can connect better to men out on the street in more questionable areas that I can't go to because of safety issues. Okay, I have his help and undivided attention right now with some really important outreach. So if we continue to bring those items in it continues to help him make those connections and build some of those relationships. So he too, and others, can get to the point of being an advocate for a homeless individual. It's like my dream come true. Just one person. I don't care if it's just one person. If one person could go out and connect with one person, things would be way different. We wouldn't be demanding government fix it. The people could actually make a difference. So please, if you want to give, order the items on the wish list and have them sent to the nonprofit. The address is there. I know Clinton. I know a lot of you if you were here. We'd be doing a lot more together. And I wish I was in some of the parts where you folks are. And maybe one day I will be, right? I love how the viewers drop off when we start really getting to the nuts and bolts of advocacy for the homeless. So, at any rate, I know it's hard. Everybody's strapped for time, but we have a crisis across this country. And if you thought COVID was a real pandemic, yeah, you ain't seen nothing yet, okay? Because Mr. Point in Time survey saying there's 442 homeless people in Arapahoe County. Liar. Well, he's repeating the numbers. How the count happens. There are more than 33,000 homeless individuals in the metro area. So whatever people want to tell you, and that's a conservative real number. If we're really going to go out and talk to all the people that are newly evicted, trying to hide and live in their cars, I think you could probably up that probably by 5,000-10,000, to be real honest with you. So, yeah, 442 homeless people in Arapahoe County. You betcha. There might be 442 homeless individuals in Englewood in hiding and going over into Denver because all of these suburbs have effectively criminalized people all into Denver. But no, that's not really happening. We're just making it up. The homeless population is going to increase. It's not going to decrease. And the other advocate called me today. Her 77-year-old neighbor, who's lived in his house for 30 years, is being evicted. I don't know if it's a rental situation, ownership situation. I don't know what's going on. But the fact is, he's losing his home at 77 years old. And he reached out to the other advocate. And the end result is she's going to help him move into his car. These things are really happening. They're really happening. So, at any rate, Bokomo, thank you very much for posting those links for outreach. Okay? No, I'm not one of the best. I'm just one of the most vocal, Michael. There are people, there are a lot of good people that do good, important work that just aren't as vocal as I am about it. So, thank you. I do appreciate that. The country's government is working on serving only a certain class, and the old and the homeless are not it. Bingo. Nor the middle class. So, get ready. Get ready. Great things are in store for this country. Hey, Liberty Blair, thank you very much. Mike, I'm sorry to hear it. I really am. It's overwhelming. Thanks for coming along, Irish Rover. I appreciate it. All right, you guys, thank you for being here. Please donate those wish list items to the nonprofit so that important outreach can continue. That's my only ask. And thank you to whoever put that $17 in super chat. Much appreciated.